US President Donald Trump has landed in South Korea as part of his Asia trip and attended events around the APEC 2025 meeting in Guangzhou. He is seeking about $350 billion investment from South Korea, but a broader trade deal appears to be elusive. Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many other breaking news as well. Let me directly hand over it to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho, because he gathered huge breaking news today.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rashid Kanchan. A very good afternoon to Bangladeshi viewers and, of course, those who are connected through us using Zoom. Let me begin today's discussion as one of the breaking news that comes out of the Caribbean. Hurricane Melissa has made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 storm. It is the first Category 5 storm to hit Jamaica in its history, as it created a lot of wreckage inside on mainland and is now on its way to the island nation of Cuba as well. And on the other side, we see at least 18 killed in Israeli airstrikes in Gaza amid ceasefire violations. Of course, they have crossed the yellow line, referring to the point where they said they will not cross, and hence they have broken this ceasefire agreement. And of course, countries such as Turkey are now voicing concern that the Israeli side has broken this truce.
All right, sir. As I said, Trump has landed in South Korea. South Korea is also pressing for extended rights on nuclear fuel reprocessing and submarine related capabilities. It's a huge deal. On the other side, the visit underscores increased US South Korea economic and security engagement, but also rising tensions or friction on trade terms. Let me welcome all of you from inside Bangladesh and around the globe to SATV's International Affairs, broadcasting from SATV's Dhaka studio. We will have a very distinguished panelist today from Washington. Our geopolitical correspondent Norman Flood Barnes will be joining, and from Busan, South Korea, we will have former Air Force Captain Mr. Andrew Jeong. He will join from Korea. First, let me begin from Andrew Jeong. Welcome to SATV's International Affairs. Let us know, what are you learning about the President Trump's visit in South Korea? What counterpart meetings should take place in today and tomorrow, Mr. Andrew Jeong?
Well, thank you very much for the great introduction. First, I would like to say good evening to all the watchers in Bangladesh. I'm reporting from South Korea, which has become the center of international diplomacy this week as it hosts the 2025 APEC summit. As you have mentioned, at around 11:40 today, President Trump arrived from Tokyo to attend the summit, marking it the final stop of his Asian tour, which included visits to Malaysia for the ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations meeting, and Japan, where he first met when he met the newly appointed Prime Minister Takaichi. During this year's APEC summit, President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea. And there's even speculations about a possible surprise visit to North Korea. I'm currently in Busan, where the highly anticipated US-China bilateral meeting is set to take place tomorrow. Despite the president's short stay, every minute is being leveraged to advance major agenda, redefining the future of US-China relations, revisiting trade negotiations with South Korea, and showcasing Washington's commitment to the region, increasingly shaped by trade friction, military strategy, and supply chain security issues.
All right, very fascinating delivery from Andrew Jeong, former Air Force Captain, currently joining from Busan, South Korea. I will have so many questions to you regarding President Trump's visit. Let me go to Washington, where SATV's geopolitical correspondent Norman Flood Barnes is there. Norman, you heard Andrew Jeong and the meetings and the schedules of presidents in South Korea and his objectives. My first question would be, what are the latest you have regarding President Trump's Asia trip? Is he in a field trip? Because American people says they are very happy today because President is out of country. Just kidding.
Actually, your just kidding is true. we are considered today as a very peaceful and a calm news day, and largely because the administration is spending their time in the Asian Pacific time in the region. However, as things go, we are still going through the issue here at Congress. So there's no impasse on the budget. Um, People are still losing jobs. Amazon just mentioned yesterday that they have laid off 14,000 people yesterday, and we anticipate another 15,000 people today. And they attributed it largely due to uh, the interest and the move towards artificial intelligence. So the people are no longer needed. Automations and robot is the way things going in the future. Another major partial company called UPS, United Parcel Services, is laying off 48,000 people uh, coming up in the next couple of months, weeks in the next couple of months. So the trend now is towards automation. Uh, People power is less significant. This trade tariff situation and the world situation is moving towards the AI. The use for manpower has been reduced. So people are going to have to be retrained, repurposed, and they have to find another way of making a living.
Let me give a background of President's trip to South Korea, then I will come to Andrew. But before that, I am sure our international affairs commentator who is studying more on this issue, he will have a question to Andrew also. So this signals shifting economic priorities in the Asia Pacific region and how trade or investment deals are being used as tools of diplomacy. I'm sure you have a question for Andrew.
Well, thank you for passing me the mantle once again. I want to include the fact that this rare earths element and some of these elements are being used in markets such as aerospace, medical facilities, as well as, of course, electronics, consumer goods. And we know that South Korea, let me go back to an example. A couple of months ago, there was a Hyundai facility raided by ICE agents inside America, and that is when we picked out that international trade issue can come out of such a event that goes on. I want to ask Mr. Andrew Jong, who joins us from Busan, South Korea. I hope that the bilateral talks between Donald Trump, including Xi Jinping, as well as Lee Jae-myung, who's the leader of your nation, I hope that the meeting can bring fruitful, of course, outcomes. I want to know how you feel about this issue.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Samsul. Well, before answering your question, I do want to mention that Mr. Samsul and I go all the way back to high school. I just wanted to say that he's the most intellectual and charismatic person that I know, and I'm just very glad that he's doing so well, and I look forward to your future. And now going on to the question that you have mentioned. This is shaping up to be the biggest moment of President tour, in my opinion. Earlier this month, on November 1st, Trump rattled markets after China expanded its rare earth export controls. And he responded with a threat saying he's going to add additional 100% tariff on all Chinese goods. Now, here in Busan, two presidents will be meeting tomorrow to tackle the trade imbalances and tariff disputes head on. What we know is that U.S. Trade Secretary Scott Bentsen said earlier this week that China is ready to make a deal, confirming that the negotiators have built a framework for the bilateral meeting in Korea. Key agenda items that were mentioned were fentanyl, agricultural products like soybean, eggs, trade deficits, and what Trump calls his peace plan that may include peace talks with Russia and Ukraine. Now, we have seen in the markets, and the markets have been rallying on hopes of a rare earth control deferral, relaxed semiconductor restrictions, and temporary tariff truce. But beneath the optimism, some analysts do warn that any deals reached here may be fragile unless Washington and Beijing rebuilds real strategic trust. Thank you.
All right, Andrew Jeong, former Air Force captain, we really appreciate and welcome a high school friends reunion and shared the screen together from different parts of the world. I appreciate both of you, and I congratulate your achievement. Both of you are doing excellent. Let me welcome a very distinguished professor who has huge experience on conflict and international issues. He writes international issues, he reads international issues, he teaches international issues. I welcome him, Professor Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry, Professor of Dhaka University. He will talk about international issues today. Sir, you are hearing President Donald Trump has landed in South Korea. He will have so many counterpart meetings with Malaysia, South Korea, China, and focus is on China because rare earth materials issue will be number one, and China also may get relief from 100% tariffs to export to USA. How do you see President's trip to this part of world, and what would be his achievement, you think, or what reshaping is going to be held in Eastern Asia?
Thank you. Yes, this type of visit is very important, and I think that it depends the gesture and the way he deals with those party. Within this time, there are a lot of discussions about our other discussion who was just trying to say the rare earth things and the semiconductors. We know that Taiwan produces one of the biggest source of semiconductors for all over the world. And when this kind of negotiations relating to tariff is going on, it depends that what is his real intention of this visit. So tensions going on, especially these tariff deals for a long time, and the real impact on the global markets, especially the production of technology and some sort of agricultural materials, which mostly we import from USA, and the technological things that we know that China has real capacity of supplying these rare earth materials all over the world. So when this is the situation, already we recognize a huge impact in the global market, and especially for the poor countries like us, those who are trying our level best to increase our livelihood and to join in the tech friendly environment all over the world, the freelancing things and some other scenarios, which is very important. So we are hopeful that maybe there are some sort of changes, but the thing is, it's really we need to see that how he will deal with the Chinese counterpart at this moment.
Right, sir. I want to just request you to stop here, because you said how Donald Trump do with Chinese counterpart, because Chinese are also good at trading. I want to get the take from Norman Flat-Barnes from Washington DC. Norman, you are hearing Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry, a very seasoned, very popular, very well respected professor here in Bangladesh and in outside also, because of his expertise on his particular subject. I just want to ask you, how significant is this framework deal? Does it mark a real shift or just a pause in the trade war or trade tensions with China? Along with, do you think your deal maker president, your boss president, will be able to mold Chinese President Xi Jinping?
My response is that the President Trump is seeking a deal, more of a compromise of how are we going to coexist. I truly believe they will come to some type of agreement, because the actual issue is trade and commerce. The world must have trade to continue. We have to have the ability to transfer goods and services and provide goods and services for our people, and we also need to make money. So that is a way. So without these trade agreements, everything stops. Yes, we can have armed conflicts, but armed conflicts are just indicative of the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that we must have free-flowing trade globally. So I believe that there will be a agreement that is something that allows both parties to coexist.
All right, Norman, I just want to get a take from Andrew Jung, former Air Force captain. Currently, he is petrochemical specialist and working to develop the petrochemical business in Asian region and all over the world. Andrew, my question is to what extent, I just want to know what are the geopolitical implications of US-China economic ties for other global players, like I want to say like Japan, like South Korea, I mean US allies in your region?
Well, thank you very much for a good question. Well, I do want to say that South Korea is a very much of an export-driven country. Our two biggest trade partners are US and China, so their relationship matters very much. With that said, Korea has what we call a blood alliance, an ironclad alliance with the United States. However, with the recent shift in the approach, the diplomatic approach shown by the Trump administration had soured how we feel towards the U.S. It used to be a we used to be a very close lovers. Now, I'm not sure I could say that. With that said, in terms of Japan and Korea, there are some historic relations tensions between the two countries. However, what U.S. seems to want and what is strategic importance for the U.S. in order to control the Indo-Pacific region is to strengthen its alliance with Korea and Japan. More importantly, I do want to mention that Trump has another slogan, not the MAGA, but the MASCA, which is Make America's Ship Great Again. And Korea has a great shipbuilding facilities that the Trump is willing to use. So that's one of the trading cards that Korea has. And there's a lot of talks, and after this week, we expect certain coverage on deterrence, interoperability, missile defense, and all these strategic ways to strengthen our relations.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
impressed, Andrew. You are delivering like a seasoned academician or a very senior journalist. You are into the subject. You are putting all the facts and figures, including the background of the story. I'm so impressed, Andrew. Please be on the line. I just want to catch up our international affairs commentator who is really keen on this subject, especially he follows every movement of Donald Trump, sir. I just want to know how will the sectors impacted, I want to mention name rare earth, agriculture, tech market change under this deal, because it is going to give a huge diversification.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. I was listening very attentively to both Professor Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry and as well as our connections on Zoom. One of the things that you mentioned from your statement is that the US wants to trade with China in the market of soybeans. That's the agricultural aspect, whereas I think it was Oracle in America that has purchased TikTok, something that is, we know, coming funding from China. So there is these two relationships that we will see in the coming days be beneficial between the United States of America and of course China. But once again, I must say that these are trade negotiations. Definitely Donald Trump is someone who is a deal breaker. We know that given his past experiences, but to my understanding, of course, this will create a new cooperation between Asia as well as the West.
Sir, I want to go to the expert. Expert is Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry, none other than him. He is very well expert. Sir, how does this affect developing countries and global supply chains? I also want to integrate the interest of Bangladesh in this deal, because Bangladesh is one of the rising star in South Asia.
Thank you. The current framework, if we would like to say, the most important thing is mostly symbolic and important, but limited in scope. The thing is, we need to understand that both sides realize within this time that economics cost escalating, and their approach, we said that in that cases is pragmatic. But the thing is, I believe that it temporarily reduces tension, but not enough to having some sort of resolve the matters and having a very good impact in the global market. Countries like us are mostly dependent on the cheap product from China, and not only in our country, we go to Europe and in USA as well. There is a huge popularity and acceptability of this kind of things. So China is already have a huge market, and especially in the, we tell you earlier, the rare earth and the semiconductor things, most of the countries of the world are depending on China. So there will be a huge impact on Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is also trying to develop in the technological sectors. We know that a huge, especially the youths, they are involved in freelancing and some other things where these technological equipments are very important.
Right, sir.
So if this is the case, there will be a huge impact for the youth population, those who are very much interested to enter into the job market. And there is another thing, we also have to depend on USA for soybean and some other agricultural products. So it has also some other impacts. But the thing is, Bangladesh is situated in South Asia, and the Bay of Bengal and some other issues, we know that USA and China has different sort of interest, and both countries are trying to influence their level based. That's why there is a policy shift. Trump is also trying to having some sort of changes in the policies regarding the Myanmar issues, and we see that what kind of things they are developing and trying to insert in the case of Myanmar. And
Right.
China approaching more now in the case of Myanmar, and we understand the situation of the Arakan army at this moment. So regarding the Pacific region as well as the Bay of Bengal issues, they will constantly try to influence both countries, and India is also a very important player here. So we also know that in the last few months, especially after the coming of Donald Trump, it dramatically changed the relationship with India.
Right, sir.
So it has huge impact in that cases also.
Sir, I really appreciate. There is a breaking news from Northern America. We have received Hurricane Melissa strikes Jamaica and moving towards Cuba. Melissa made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 storm. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Category 5 happened in 1 century, after 100 years, bringing catastrophic winds and flooding. It is now tracking toward Cuba, raising concern for further damage in the Caribbean. First, I want to get the take from Shamsul Alam Pantho, because I know from the morning he was following this event.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kanchan. Let us look at this hurricane. But in general, I want to bring everyone's focus, especially our viewers, regarding climate change. We know that there's an upcoming COP30 meeting that is going to address all these issues. But before doing so, let me tell you that this year has been by far the year that climate change has taken a drastic toll on human life. Today it was Hurricane Melissa that had ripped through Jamaica, especially in the Black River section. Kingston, the capital of Jamaica, was spared. However, the entire island nation had faced intense storms. Even hurricane trackers who have used a plane to understand the eye of the storm had to turn around for their own safety. So this is the detriment of climate change that has taken place. I want to now mention that there has been flooding that has happened in Jamaica, and I'll give you 2 more instances of flooding over this last 1 year. We have a flooding in Texas that claimed the lives of over 100 people. And then, of course, in Pakistan, we've seen an entire family of 17 people being wiped away by flash floods.
Sir, let's talk about the climate change. All concerned panelists here available: Norman from Washington, Andrew Jung from South Korea, and Professor Saver Ahmed Chowdhury, in studio. Norman, I want to get your attention first. Your vessels and military ships, naval ships are in that particular zone right this moment, and you are getting news on Hurricane Melissa, which has broken the record in 100 years, a storm level 5. What are you learning? What are you hearing? What are you going to share with us? Norman.
Yes, the hurricane is preparing to be one of historic nature. The Caribbean is going to be disrupted. We're looking at a complete disaster in that area. We have military ships there to address the issue with drugs, and we just had another attack, I guess, in the Pacific area of Mexico. I think yesterday, uh, killing four people,
Two boats.
and also drugs. But with this situation with the hurricane, the actual mission may be adjusted to one of a rescue and support for the region. I anticipate, due to the nature of the storm and my background, that there will be real catastrophic issues and there will be calls for help. And our military is ideally positioned in the area to provide assistance if needed. So we're waiting to see how this storm is going to evolve, but we have resources stationed in that area that could help relieve some of the stress that we anticipate coming.
All right, we tried to contact with some other journalist in New York to get one news if Hurricane Melissa attacked even into the Florida after Cuba. Is there any chance that President Trump will make short his trip and he will go back to Washington? I just want to get this information, if it is possible, from Andrew Jung from Busan, South Korea. He is a petrochemical specialist and former Air Force captain. Mr. Andrew.
Yes, so Korea's quite, we're not experiencing too much issues with climate change, although we did see a sudden rainfall here and there causing floods, and the Korean government is trying to do its best to reduce flooding in certain areas. So we are being affected by it, but we're not affected too much by it. I do want to point out that the climate change will have a long-lasting impact on the geopolitical issues, especially Russia, which is getting warmed up. So in terms of petrochemical perspective, we expect that with the climate change, the Arctic trade route will be opened. And that's something that Busan's really paying a close attention to, because it will save our trade route from Korea to Europe by more than 30 days. Thank you.
All right, Andrew, we'll be loving to have you sometimes, because your delivery is so clear, so articulated, and so smart. I really appreciate. I want to get one. I'm very curious to ask one question to my very favorite Professor Saver Ahmed Chowdhury. Sir, due to climate change, Bangladesh is one of the highest victim country around the world, and Bangladesh is since long time trying to release its fund for this damages of climate changes, and especially in the coastal belt areas reconstruction. What would be your advice for our diplomats to do the diplomacy with other diplomats to get the diplomatic fund?
Thank you. Especially this kind of effect are going on for a long time, and we know that Bangladesh is a country where disaster prone zone, and we have a long experience of dealing with these things, and several times our country has been affected by this kind of situation. In the previous government, we know that there is a huge research fund on the climate change, but the disbursement was not in the right way and the right path. And we have different shelter homes and received a huge amount of fund from different countries. But the thing is, the resilient model, the climate resilient model is the most important thing. In the coastal areas especially, there are different sort of practices, training, this kind of things are going on for over the years, for a long time. Within this time, especially they have a natural sort of preparedness, and usually they are accustomed with these things. But from the side of the government, and procuring and having this kind of support from different foreign countries is not at all satisfactory, and the disbursement is not in the right way. So the emission of green gases all over the world and the disaster preparedness is the most important thing, and its effect more in a country like Bangladesh, where we are very close to the under the poverty line and don't having this kind of preparedness, which will have a huge impact on the livelihood. This is what happened in the last year during the flood in Feni, in Kumilla, in some other regions, and maybe in the near future we will having this kind of things we are experiencing. But the proactive model, in the proactive model we are not that good in dealing with the situations,
Right,
mostly the reactive things.
Very fair and loud, sir. As we have time limitations with the foreign panelists here, I want to get two small questions from both of you, and I want to request our production team, if some reason they would be disconnected, please connect them again. My first question to Andrew. Andrew, the developed countries produces carbon, they make money, they increase their per capita, but the developing country like Bangladesh are suffering, they are at risk, the sea level is getting down. So what do you think? Do you think developed countries has responsibility to urge the other developed countries to release the funds for the victim countries like Bangladesh?
That is a very deep and difficult question, but let me try my best to answer this. So Professor Chang Ha-jun from, I believe, is Cambridge University, he has released a book called Kicking Away the Ladders. And what this basically says is that developed countries has, used coal energy, cheap energies, to develop their economies. And now they're very, they're very developed. They have all the money to take the initiative to reduce carbon, carbon production. They have the technology, they can pay for it. But what now they're doing is that, in terms of Bangladesh and other countries with less economically developed countries, when they're trying to use coal, they come in and say, no, you can't do that. And to me, that's a very difficult conversation, because as the world, we need to try to reduce our carbon footprint. However, there's a lot of economic implications. So on a global citizen perspective, I do agree that, the developed economies need to provide certain ways for less economically developed countries to, get their energy source.
All right,
However,
Andrew, you are so generous, you are so practical, you are so logical, and you are very technical as well. I will request my technical team, if somehow connection goes wrong, they will reconnect you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing something very important, but still we have in our hand Russia-Ukraine negotiation process and something happening in Israel and Gaza. We will definitely discuss it, and we want to get back our guest also. I apologize for a short commercial break.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900. বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো ৮০টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in
Breaking news now. At least 18 people were killed and dozens injured in Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip, marking a new violation of a ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Palestinian group Hamas. We will definitely discuss it in the next item, but first let us come to Professor Saver Ahmed Chaudhry. Said the war between Russia and Ukraine continues with new fronts. Russia extending a conscription, Ukraine attacking deep into Russian territory, peace talks stalemated. My just question is, what are the strategic implications of Russia extending year-round attacks?
Yes, we all know that Russia recently involved with this conscription policies where they are engaging all the citizens to join those who have certain age groups. And it's not new for them, because we know in the 18th and 19th century several times Prussia, Russia or the Switzerland, these kind of countries, they are they use this kind of approach when engaging in war. And these sort of things having a better explanation that they are very much serious about conquering lands in Ukraine as well, and they are deploying more people, so tensions going on. And in the case of Ukraine, they are from the long distance, they are trying to attack within the territory of Russia, use of drones and other things. So tensions intensifying gradually, and the support they are getting from the Western world for a long time. This war is going on. So diplomatically there were several steps. We were hopeful that maybe there were some sort of negotiations, peace talks, but now the situation is like that, it's on the deadlock. So coming to this point, so we understand the people of Ukraine, they're suffering for a long time, and how long they will survive having support from the Western world is a very important question. And Russia is very much adamant. They take it, their personal gain as well as having some sort of influence all over the world. So when this is the situation, we are saying that there is very little hope of peace talks or the de-escalation of conflict at this moment.
Right, sir. We have got back Norman from Washington. Norman, here is a tough question for you. Vladimir Putin started testing nuclear carrying weaponry missiles, and tested has been successful as per Russian Today television. What are you going to say?
My comment is that Russia is preparing for what we call a forever war, meaning they are now preparing contracts with their manpower so they can have enough people to stretch out, giving them contracts. They do a period of time so they can afford this. At the same time, they are looking at mechanisms for rapid deployment, including the option of nuclear weapons that can reach any parts of the world. These weapons will be utilized as a strategy, a bargaining, a leveraging instrument to allow the West to understand that we can strike you if we want to. One of the Chinese mentioned the other day. I was listening to one of the defense ministers, and they have a understanding, and I think Russia is going to adopt this too. We're not going to provide the the first strike. We're not going to ever do the first strike, but we will not allow you to do the second strike. So, with that said, that is very strong evidence that basically we are developing technology and resources to prevent you from responding or destroying things. So, we will basically, they're looking at a philosophy of basically, we will be able to eliminate your ability to respond and to do anything. So, Putin is working closely with his allies on this type of philosophy.
All right, Norman, let me get a reaction from Shamsul Alam Pantho, our international affairs commentator. Sir, don't you think Kremlin's this test of nuclear carrying weaponry is a huge message to Washington that be careful dealing with Russia, dealing with Vladimir Putin? Don't you think it?
Well, of course, as far as narratives and international power playing stances go, this is, of course, one of those other instances where Russia is showing their military might on stage. And I want to come back to the Shanghai Cooperation Summit that was held in earlier this year, in which China had showed its own military advances over the last 80 years. Of course, 80 years of the anniversary from the World War II. But once again, if you come back to Russia, what they have done in certain regions in Ukraine, let me tell you what the news stipulates. The UN Rights Commission concluded that Russian drone attacks on civilians in Ukraine, such as in regions such as Kherson and Dnipropetrovsk, constitute of war crimes and crimes against humanity. These are the words that are used to describe such an event that Russia had taken part in. Right. But if you look at Iran, even towards the end of the war with Israel, they had even shown that they had access to ICBMs, which is intercontinental ballistic missile capacity, which can once again threaten any kind of fatal.
We have got Andrew back from Busan, South Korea. Andrew, welcome back. I just have a very curiosity to ask you a question. As per Statistica, based in Washington, headquartered in Washington, world's most vulnerable location of a country is South Korea, because your neighbor is North Korea, because North Korean president is Kim Jong-un, because he is a nuclear man, he is an atom bomb man. Now you heard that Kremlin has tested nuclear missiles, tested, and test was successful. Washington has given reactions. As a South Korean, as a neighboring country of North Korea, as a neighboring country of Kim Jong-un, what would be your message to the world to be cautious on nuclear factor?
Well, thank you very much for your question. I mean, we do have a very noisy and very scary, neighbor upstairs, the North Koreans, with Kim Jong-un, the chairman, leading the country. However, I do want to say that as a former Air Force veteran who have worked with the U.S. allies, we have the capabilities and we have the abilities to deter any actions that is caused by North Korea. Now, what I want to focus is that why are they doing this? Why at this time? And the thing is, they're trying to tell the world something, that currently Donald Trump, in his Asian tour, is working his relationship in the Southeast Asia, trying to gather up all the allies. Now, Russia is telling us that we still have nuclear power and that other countries should be aware of their power. So this seems like a power play. However, as from South Korea, we are not afraid of any, because we believe in our military might. We believe in the strong U.S.-Korean alliance, and we believe that any provocations will be punished. So as a former veteran, what I'm saying is that we are confident. We are confident. We are prepared, and we are confident. Thank you.
Very, very well articulated response from Andrew sir. I want to come to you, Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary. World is becoming curious and serious on developing nuclear weapons. we are also a neighboring country of a nuclear country. They have another nuclear nation, neighboring nation like Pakistan. Don't you think Bangladesh has the capacity, has the ability, and should take this ability, should take this opportunity to start testing nuclear?
It always depend with the economic capacity of the country, and we know our current situation deteriorating day by day. We fail to have aid from the IMF in the last month as well. So when this is the situation, we are not, I think, in a position to think like that. But maybe we can have some sort of treaty with a nuclear country that if we will be affected, then you can have some sort of support from you.
Like
And
NATO, like Saudi Pak
like
pact.
some sort of these things, any countries, those who can give us those support which will be very much helpful for the security of our country. But the thing is, it's also related with a huge cost as well for the nuclear testing and some sort of setup as well. So there were a discussion after the 5th August like that, but the thing is, at the end it didn't have any sort of progress. So this is the situation when we have two close countries, those who are very strong in nuclear power. If we have some sort of support from any country like that or third country, it will be maybe helpful for the security tension in the border as well.
Very articulated advice from Professor Satv Ahmed Chowdhury. He is a conflict specialist. He teaches in Dhaka University, my very favorite person. Ladies and gentlemen, I really apologize for another short 1-minute break.
Sophisticated fine dining restaurant, crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation, modern gym and serene spa for well-being, perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured, elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gents. Play pool and snooker in international standard billiard zone. World-class gym facility with exclusive equipment for man and woman. A restaurant of delicious local and international cuisine.
Let me begin from Busan, South Korea. Former Air Force captain, currently petrochemical specialist, Mr. Andrew Jeon is here. Andrew, let us know, what is the impressions of other US allies? US has base in South Korea, base in Philippines, base in Japan, but US is going to do a huge favor to China, or trying to get huge favor from China for business development. I am sure the export business of South Korea will have to face some tough time very soon. Andrew, what is your impression on that?
Well, like I said earlier on, it is a very difficult situation that we are in. You know, we have military alliance with the US, but we do want to develop our economies. with China having the biggest manufacturing facilities in the world, it is something that a lot of countries in Southeast Asia and frankly, most of the countries cannot ignore. We need to trade with China and we need to trade with US. So it is a very difficult territory, and I believe that each Southeast Asian nations, including South Korea and Japan as well, will come up with their own domestic strategy in order to align themselves or to be more ambiguous with who they are, who their strategic partners are. Thank you.
All right. Yesterday I was watching late night show in New York. They says that President Trump will prove that he's going to be the closest allies of China as his new girlfriend. I was just kidding, Mr. Norman. I want to say President Trump is taking China on his confidence. Do you think the other allies will be little bit or very much deprived from his policy?
The relationship with U.S. and China is evolving into one of tolerance. We know we are competitors. You want to be. We have two countries that want to be in a space of control and dominance. That cannot happen because neither one has the resources and the ability to do it all by themselves. So we need China for certain things. China needs us for other things. And we're both trying to be the world leader. Well, they're going to have to decide how we work together. How do we, I don't really love you, but I will have to respect you. And we have to come to conclusions so we can both achieve our goals. We have missions and things that we want to do and accomplish, but we have to understand that we cannot be total in control.
Yes,
we have
yes,
to
sir.
have a agreement.
Yes, sir, you really said well, but I need to go to the expert for getting the summary of the entire discussion. He is none other than Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry. Sir, world's #1 economy is United States of America, #1 military power, #1 dominance in the world, and their competitor is China, the second economy, second largest military, second largest superpower. My question is, if these two #1 and #2 superpower get in contact and be allies, what will be the fate of other small allies?
I think it will not be that easy to have allies when you are having competitions in all sectors. So maybe they are trying for the time being, and we also see that will they have some sort of agreement regarding South Asia and their interest. They are not protecting their interest in South Asia and other regions as well. So when you have competitions, especially in the trade markets as well as in the arms and in other sectors as well, it's going on. And in the business school, Europe and America for the last more than 20 years, they are studying Chinese Challenge 2030. So they are researching on this topic, and we see the impact. China drastically changed their economic policies and now in a very good positions and trying to rule the world. So when you have this kind of competitions and the expenditure of US is huge, not like China, they are not having this sort of bases all over the world. So when you are in a situation, maybe Donald Trump, he is switching his mind very frequently.
Yes, very
for the
true.
time being, for a limited time, maybe he is trying to cut down some sort of costs, or the having reducing the discussion in his country.
Right, sir.
But
Sir,
in the long run, maybe the impact will
your
not
calculation
in the same way.
is world class. I just want to get the last minute comment from Andrew Jeong from Busan. What is the repercussion or reaction or responses of the general people in South Korea regarding Donald Trump's moves and new friendship to China? 1 minute, sir.
Well, It is very difficult to say, you know. The relationship in the Trump administration has been very different from what we have experienced in the Biden administration, and it has taken a bit of time to get used to. But we are aware of the strategic alignment that we need to do, and we're working our best. We do pay a close attention to what the Trump might agree with President Xi. However, as with all trade talks, we don't know what the outcomes will be. You know, all these talks could mean nothing, or we could have a complete 180 degrees reverse over. So we are optimistic, but also careful with what we are expecting. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Tomorrow we will again connect you. We wish to connect you regarding the outcome of the meetings of Donald Trump in Eastern Asia. We will definitely get update from you tomorrow. I really appreciate for your participation. And Norman, I want to give you a huge thanks for the latest updates you have given with facts and figures and huge bird's eye comments you have done today. I really appreciate the way you do your journalism. I have a special gratitude to Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry. I always like his analysis. He is one of the finest competitor I have ever found in my career, and I have my final gratitude for our international affairs commentator Shamsar Alam Pantho. Just 30 seconds, sir. What you see in the recent moves by Donald Trump, because American media are saying American people are very happy because president is in a field trip, he's out of country. One comment.
Before you close, I just want to mention that this is no longer a one world order. It is now a multipolar role that everyone must play, and I'm pretty sure Donald Trump would need to see it likewise.
Very special thanks to our audience for your love, for your passion. We just try to do the best show for you from Bangladesh to around the world. We will see you tomorrow again.